The year 1831 marked a turning point in American history, a moment when the brutal realities of slavery erupted into open rebellion. In Southampton County, Virginia, an enslaved man named Nat Turner ignited one of the most significant insurrections in the nation's past. This event sent shockwaves across the South and profoundly shaped the trajectory of the abolitionist movement. Understanding the Nat Turner uprising requires delving beyond simplistic narratives. It demands an examination of the man, his motivations, the events themselves, and the far-reaching consequences that followed. This was not merely an act of violence, but a desperate cry for freedom against an entrenched system of oppression. Nat Turner was born into slavery in 1800 on a plantation in Southampton County, Virginia. From an early age, he displayed remarkable intelligence and a deep spiritual inclination. He learned to read and write, skills uncommon for enslaved people of his time, and spent much of his life studying the Bible. Turner became known among his peers as a prophet and a preacher. He experienced vivid religious visions, which he interpreted as divine messages from God. These visions convinced him that he was chosen to lead his people out of bondage, much like Moses led the Israelites. His profound faith and intellectual capacity set him apart. He was not a random insurgent, but a leader driven by a powerful conviction that his actions were divinely ordained. This belief provided the moral and spiritual foundation for the rebellion he would eventually lead. The conditions of slavery in the antebellum South were inherently violent and dehumanizing. Enslaved people endured relentless labor, physical abuse, and the constant threat of family separation. This systemic brutality created an environment ripe for resistance. Nat Turner's visions intensified over time, culminating in what he believed was a clear sign from God. He saw a solar eclipse in February 1831 as a signal to begin his work. He interpreted another atmospheric phenomenon in August as the final divine command. He meticulously planned the uprising in secret, confiding in a small group of trusted enslaved men. Their objective was to strike a blow against the institution of slavery, hoping to inspire a broader revolt among the enslaved population. The planning was clandestine, reflecting the immense risks involved. The rebellion began in the early hours of August 22, 1831. Nat Turner and his small band initiated their revolt by attacking the Travis family, Turner's enslavers. They moved from plantation to plantation, liberating enslaved people and killing white slaveholders and their families. The group grew in number as more enslaved individuals joined the cause, eventually numbering around 70. They moved through Southampton County, targeting slaveholding households. The violence was brutal, a direct response to the brutality of the system they sought to overthrow. Over approximately 36 hours, the rebels killed between 55 and 65 white people, including women and children. This scale of violence was unprecedented for a slave revolt in the United States. The rebellion spread fear and panic throughout the white communities of Virginia and beyond. The white response to the uprising was swift and overwhelmingly brutal. Local militias, state troops, and even federal forces were mobilized to suppress the rebellion. The rebels, though determined, were ultimately outmatched by the organized military might. Within days, the rebellion was crushed. Many enslaved people, including those not involved in the revolt, were indiscriminately killed in retaliation. Estimates suggest hundreds of black individuals were murdered by white mobs and militias in the aftermath. Nat Turner managed to evade capture for over 2 months, hiding in the swamps and forests. He was finally apprehended on October 30th, 1831. His capture brought a sense of relief to the terrified white population, but the fear of future insurrections lingered. Turner was tried, convicted, and sentenced to death. Before his execution on November 11, 1831, he dictated his confession to a lawyer, Thomas Ruffin Gray. This document, The Confessions of Nat Turner, provides a crucial, though controversial, insight into his motivations. The Nat Turner Rebellion had profound and lasting consequences for the institution of slavery in America. Rather than leading to greater freedom, it resulted in a severe tightening of slave codes across the South. Laws were enacted to restrict the movement, assembly, and education of enslaved people even further. The rebellion intensified the national debate over slavery, pushing the issue to the forefront of American politics. It fueled the fears of white Southerners, leading to a more entrenched defense of slavery as a necessary evil. This hardening of positions contributed significantly to the growing sectional divide. For abolitionists in the North, Turner's revolt served as a stark reminder of the inherent violence and injustice of slavery. It underscored the desperate measures enslaved people would take to achieve freedom. The rebellion became a powerful, albeit tragic, symbol of resistance. Nat Turner remains a complex and controversial figure in American history. To some, he is a terrorist, to others, a freedom fighter. His actions, however, undeniably expose the deep-seated tensions and moral contradictions at the heart of the nation. The truth of the Nat Turner uprising lies in its raw depiction of human desperation, the brutal reality of slavery, and the enduring struggle for liberty.